The Nightbeat starts right now.
You chose not to watch the whole video.
The Robb Elementary School staffer originally accused of not locking the door, telling her story, and criticizing DPS. This after misinformation leading many to think her actions led to the shooter entering the building. What she now has to say in her very first interview.
It will further delay progression, but not reverse any symptoms.
It's a high price to live with for an incurable disease, but one local woman is laying it all out in hopes to bring awareness to the disparities when you're living with ALS.
And devastation at a hospital after a suspect opened fire, killing two. Where that suspect is tonight and what we know about those who were killed. But first.
From the hotly contested governor's race to the fight to be the new Bexar County judge, it's now time to decide. Yeah, early voting starts tomorrow, and with the highest number of registered voters Bexar County has seen since 2020, election officials expect this year to have a big turnout. The Night Team's Alyssa Cole gives us a breakdown of what you need to know.
I'm definitely planning to vote. I think there's changes to be made, and your voice isn't heard unless you go out and vote.
I do plan to vote. I think it's very important.
Early voting starts Monday across Texas. In Bexar County, there are more than 1.2 million registered voters. The county has added 68,295 voters since 2020. The Bexar County Elections Administrator prepping for a large crowd.
For this midterm, we sort of pushed it a little bit higher than the last 2018 turnout. So we're expecting totally maybe 650 to 700,000 people.
This week, the County Elections Department announced there will be 51 early voting location sites open. And for Election Day on November 8th, election officials are working on staffing an additional 129 polling sites, bringing the total to 302. The move comes after a judge ordered them to add more locations based on a lawsuit by the Texas Civil Rights Project.
I think it's the only way for us to make change.
Yeah, I plan on voting. I haven't voted in the past, so I just figured it's the time to start, putting my voice into it.
Early voting runs through November 4th. You'll need to take a photo ID before casting your ballot. You can take a voter registration card, utility bill, or government document with your most up-to-date address on it. And with new voting locations, election officials say each polling site will have at least one veteran election employee.
That no site will be opened with all new personnel.
Some key races this year includes the Bexar County Judge, District Attorney, and the Texas Governor race, where incumbent Greg Abbott will be going against Beto O'Rourke. Election Day is November 8th on Tuesday. Alyssa Cole, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Alyssa. Now, if you scan this QR code with your phone, it'll take you right to our website where we have an article breaking down all the important information you need to know before heading out to do your early voting. All the information needed on Election Day as well.
Tonight, an ABC News exclusive. The Department of Public Safety officials blamed a school employee for leaving a door open at Robb Elementary, allowing the shooter to get inside. That school staffer now speaking out. Aaliyah Amy Marin, an after-school program coordinator, had only been working at Robb Elementary for a month. Marin saw the shooter as he crashed his vehicle, jumped the school fence, and fired shots. She says she kicked a rock out from under the school's outer door, which she had used earlier to prop it open. She slammed the door shut behind her while placing one of the first 911 calls. But just days after the attack, here's what DPS officials had to say.
The exterior door where we knew the shooter entered was propped open by a teacher.
Your job was to sit there and watch that video and see what happened from beginning to end, and you chose not to watch the whole video. You chose to blame me.
DPS later acknowledging that she did pull the door shut after all, but it did not lock as it was supposed to. Marin is still dealing with the painful aftermath of that mass shooting.
I am suffering mentally, of course, emotionally. I still don't sleep.
Since the shooting, the Uvalde CISD Police Department has all been suspended by the district on October 8th. Former District Police Chief Pete Arredondo was fired back in August, and DPS Sergeant Juan Maldonado was fired Friday for his actions on May 24th.
Back here at home, San Antonio police are looking for suspects in connection to a shooting at a downtown area convenience store that has since turned fatal. We first told you about this developing story yesterday on the Nightbeat. That shooting happened at a picnic store on South Richter and Guadalupe streets. Witnesses say a vehicle pulled up with about 7 people inside when an argument then broke out between a driver there and a woman. She was shot multiple times. Police found her heavily bleeding. She was taken to the hospital where she later died. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office still working to identify a man who was shot and killed while out walking last night. That man discovered by San Antonio police around 10:30 on West Cesar Chavez Boulevard near South Zarzamora Street. Police believe he was shot one street over from there. The victim telling police he was shot by someone in a vehicle. He was taken to the hospital where he later died from his injuries. Police believe it was a targeted attack.
It was a busy afternoon for some fire crews as they battled 2 house fires that were right next to each other at the same time. The scene happened just before 4:30 p.m. on West Elmira Street near North Flores Street and I-35 downtown. Fire officials believe one home caught on fire, causing it to spread to the other. When crews arrived, heavy flames could be seen from both of those homes. It took fire crews about 30 minutes to put it out. There were no injuries reported.
Structures are very close together. We've had some gusty wind today, as well as the narrow streets in here, and our large fire apparatus have a hard time getting through here. So
peak wind gusts got up to 32 miles per hour. Fire officials say they focused on getting as many firefighters near the houses to stop the flames. Around 100 firefighters responded to this scene.
It was total devastation. I want to see this disease cured for myself and others.
New on the Nightbeat tonight, a San Antonio woman living with ALS is hoping to shed some light on that disease. ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, affects the nervous system that weakens muscles.
Now, Laura Triplett hopes sharing her story will also bring attention to the healthcare disparities she and others like her are facing. She tells me she has felt left out to dry since receiving her diagnosis.
Kind of a fun story there. Easy, baby. It's okay.
We will be together 29 years on 2. We will be together 29 years on Tuesday.
Almost 3 decades of laughter and love for the triplets. They tied the knot in Hawaii and always wanted to go back. Life had other plans.
Basically, everything's on hold here. That's why the Christmas tree is still standing behind you. That's been there since 2019 when she was diagnosed.
Laura, a vibrant yoga teacher, was diagnosed with ALS, a disease that breaks down your nerve cells, impacting the muscles and physical function. It's taken her ability to care for herself, even to speak.
It's been quite a long time since I've heard her voice. I miss it.
49-year-old Laura is able to communicate yes or no answers through blinking. Longer sentences come through her eye gaze. In her words, she shared what living with this disease is like.
All ALS patients become prisoners in their failing bodies. For as long as this disease has been known, that there should be much more that can be done, but our numbers are not as great as other diseases because progression is so fast.
There are several FDA-approved drugs to help slow the progression of ALS, but they're costly.
I'll take anything they've got, but realistically, the $125,000, it would take me about a year and a half of just straight salary to make that much money.
On top of that, Laura needs a caregiver 24/7. Jack takes care of her when he's not working, and her mom cares for her the rest of the time. But because of qualifying issues, Laura cannot obtain a full-time nurse.
Realistically, that's where we're going to end up. There's no provision for that in any insurance that I know of.
Her other option, hospice care.
They're going to be keeping her comfortable only. So that's not really any kind of life to offer.
Jack says they're using a company called Searchlight to help them find a list of resources in one spot. Laura says her goal is to make it to her 50th birthday next October.
All right, taking a look outside with live cam here this Sunday night. Temperatures still a little muggy out there. Plenty of Gulf moisture has returned to South Texas as we wrapped up the weekend's plans. 76 degrees officially here in San Antonio this hour. It was plenty breezy out there throughout the entirety of the weekend. Let's take a look at some of those peak wind gusts out there today. Generally in the range of about 25 to 35 miles per hour. Hopefully those Halloween Halloween decorations tied down. It is still breezy out there here tonight. 29-mile-per-hour wind gust clocked over in Hondo as well as up in Kerrville. 21-mile-per-hour wind gust over in Carrizo Springs as well as Uvalde. Now, most of us were dry today, but we actually have some upper-level moisture as well moving in from the remnants of what was at one time Hurricane Rosalind. The remnants of that now over Mexico, but you can see still some returns out there on the radar across portions of the hill country stretching over to the Edwards Plateau. We've got some slightly better rain chances in the forecast overnight tonight, early tomorrow morning, and then another round tomorrow night as we see our next cold front move in. Not going to be for everybody, but with the activity we do find, we may need to monitor for a strong storm. We'll have all of those details coming up here in just a few.
Still ahead on the Night Beat, it's tech you use every day when you check our weather app. We're talking about Doppler radar, but how does it work? Who controls it? This week's KSAT Explains has the answers. Plus, a Texas-based Boy Scout troop speaking out for the first time after being stranded in New Mexico in a forest for several days while playing the waiting game ended up saving their lives.
A hospital is known for healing, but yesterday one was a crime scene after a shooting. We have more details of what happened moments before someone opened fire at a Dallas hospital.
2 people are dead tonight following a shooting at a Dallas hospital, and the suspect is in custody now. The shooting happened yesterday morning. Many in that area learning about the shooting from family members who are being treated inside the hospital.
There's a shooter in the building. He said, get back in your car and get as far away from the hospital as you can.
Dallas police say the suspect was at the hospital to visit his girlfriend who just gave birth to their son. Police say the suspect was acting strange and accused his girlfriend of cheating. That's when he allegedly pulled out a gun and started hitting the girlfriend in the head. When a hospital employee entered the room, they were shot by the suspect. Moments later, a second employee entered and was also shot.
Yelling and screaming and crying, I was asking her to calm down, what's going on, and she told me that there's an active shooter on their floor.
Shortly after, a hospital police officer was able to stop the suspect by shooting him in the leg. He is now in custody, charged with capital murder. The identities of the 2 hospital employees who died have not yet been released. We do know one of them was a nurse.
Heartbreaking situation there in the Dallas area. Some brighter spot for us here.
Yes.
Some rain is on the horizon.
We've got some chances, and really a couple of different chances, at least over the next 36 to 48 hours. So we've got more moisture in place. We're going to combine that with an area of low pressure scooting its way in from the west to give us some additional energy in our atmosphere, and also our next cold front that looks to arrive by this time tomorrow night. So taking a look here at the next 3 days in San Antonio as we get ready to kick off the upcoming work week, I think some scattered light rain will be possible through the overnight hours and first thing tomorrow morning. That is more on an isolated basis throughout the second half of the day tomorrow, but then we have another potential round of some rain and thunderstorms tomorrow night as we see that front move in. Drier air then moves in behind that boundary. Plenty of sunshine, but especially Tuesday morning, it is going to be plenty windy out there with some wind gusts upwards of about 40 to even 45 miles per hour. So we'll have more details on that in just a bit. But first, another check here at satellite and radar. Remember, we were talking about that elevated moisture that we have streaming in from the southwest that has allowed for some light rain to fall across portions of the hill country, stretching over to the Rio Grande and the southern Edwards Plateau throughout the afternoon hours and even here Sunday night. Pretty isolated. That activity has remained well west of San Antonio, but that's associated from what is now the remnants of Rosalind. This was a hurricane that made landfall along the western coast of Mexico, but then it was just torn apart thanks to the higher elevations, the mountainous terrain out that way, and now it continues to weaken as it pushes farther up to the north. The biggest thing that we find from from this system, this orange and yellow color that you see moving into south central Texas, that's that tropical moisture that we will try to put to use in the form of that rain chance when we see our next front move in, and also that area of low pressure that is moving in from the west as well. So let's time this out. This is the latest version of our futurecast here, depicting what the radar could look like over the next 48 hours. So through the overnight, it is possible that we find some better coverage of some scattered light rain. That also tries to move a little bit farther eastward as well. Notice by wake up time, morning drive time tomorrow, it's possible we still do find some light splashes of rain out there across portions of the region. So probably a good idea to plan on taking the umbrella out with you for the morning commute and the drive to school, but do know that not everybody is going to need to use it. Unfortunately, with these few rounds that we have headed our direction, it's not going to touch absolutely everyone before we put those rain chances to bed. I think we see more cloud cover in the morning as well, but then that tries to break up a little bit more into the afternoon. Watch what happens though by tomorrow evening and especially tomorrow night, in between about 9 to 11 p.m. as we see this front move in from the northwest. A broken line of rain and thunderstorms is expected to develop. That pushes farther off to the southeast as we head into the early morning hours of our Tuesday. That activity moves out of our area and closer to the coast well before the sun comes up on Tuesday morning. Now, it is still worth mentioning that while it is still a low-end chance, the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted the central and eastern reaches of our area in a 2 out of 5 risk for maybe needing to monitor for an isolated strong to briefly severe storm. The biggest things we will need to monitor there primarily include some strong gusty winds, maybe some isolated hail or an isolated spin up, not completely off the table, but I think those are the lower 2 of the concerns. Of course, we will continue to keep eyes on it. KSAT Weather Authority app, a great thing to have in your pocket throughout tomorrow and into tomorrow night. Now again, for the rain that we do find, especially the farther southwest you go, not looking like much. Maybe up to about 1/10 of an inch, some localized higher totals possible the farther east that you travel. We could find even higher totals as we do find maybe a stronger thunderstorm or some heavier downpours. Generally a couple 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch is what we're looking to find before we see these rain chances decrease into our Tuesday. Temperature wise, we will start off muggy tomorrow in the low 70s here in San Antonio. Those temperatures climb into the 80s as we head into the afternoons. Again, Tuesday, windy to start off the day. Wind gusts 40 to 45 miles per hour. That is going to filter in some drier air though, so chillier mornings are on tap, especially by Wednesday and Thursday. And then we see a second front move in early Friday that also could spark another chance for some isolated rain. So a lot going on this week.
A lot going on. Thanks, Mia.
Better find those hoodies that are in the back of the seat of the car somewhere.
Exactly.
Last week. All right, Greg Simmons will be along to give us a preview of Instant Replay right after this. Despite a slow start, Dak Prescott enjoys a successful return as the Cowboys starting quarterback. With more on that and what's on Instant Replay, check it out with our friend Greg Simmons.
As a fan, you're like, come on, let's go. Let's get this offense going, right? And at one point, it looked like the Houston Texans are going to take their second win until the fourth quarter collapse. Coming up tonight on a brand new edition of Instant Replay.
Dallas 19, shotgun for Prescott, throws a slant right, Lamb up to the 29 with a first down.
The Dallas Cowboys welcome back their star quarterback when they played host to the Detroit Lions. Following a slow start, Dak Prescott and the Dallas D responded by exploding in the second half. We will show you how they combined for the victory, and we will take you inside the Cowboys' winning locker room.
Middle, looking, throwing, touchdown to Philip Dorsett.
The Houston Texans looked like they were going on their way for their second win of the season until the fourth quarter in Las Vegas, and everything turned up snake eyes. How did Houston let victory slip through their fingers? We will show you. Wow. And the UTSA Roadrunners give us another cardiac finish after being down 6-3 at the half. They explode for 21 points in the fourth quarter, including the game-winning touchdown in the final 15 seconds against North Texas. And they're now in the driver's seat for back-to-back Conference USA championships. All that plus back-to-back wins on the road for the Spurs. SAFC gets ready for the first playoff game. And can the UTSA Roadrunners win out in their final 4 games of the regular season? Tonight, you decide. Instant Replay is live and is right after the Nightbeat. Well, it's just nerve-wracking to watch that team, UTSA.
Yeah. Boy, exciting.
Very exciting, yes.
Thank you, Greg. Still ahead of the night beat, it's a scary moment with a happy ending after the rescues of 23 people on a Boy Scout camping trip. We have the video of the rescue and the first-hand retelling of how it all happened.
Missiles fired, dozens without power, and the Russian people evacuating for safety. This is just the latest happening with the war in Ukraine. See the latest damage and what threats are still going on.
And it involves a tower, clouds, and bats, just to name a few. We're talking about the Doppler radar, and it's the focus of our latest KSAT Explains episode. How the weather information goes from the sky right to your phone. Next. All right, you see it every day right here on KSAT during our weather segments. We watch it on our phones. In fact, our meteorologists would say it's probably the most important tool they have.
Yeah, but how does the Doppler radar really work? How can it see a storm? How does it see bats? And where are these radars?
It's not just magic. All questions we hope to answer in this KSAT Explains. And naturally, we recruited one of our own meteorologists for this one. Here's Justin Horn.
Bracken Cave is the home to the largest colony of bats in the world. We're talking about 20 million Mexican free-tailed bats.
For those who have never been to Bracken Bat Cave, the bat emergence is a sight to behold.
Right there at the cave, we call it a bat-nado because it's literally a swirling vortex of bats there at the cave. And then you can see them streaming away, this river of bats in the sky.
What these bats lack in size, they make up for in quantity, which explains why we can see these fascinating creatures not just with our eyes.
If you've ever wondered where Bracken Bat Cave is located, you need look no further than Doppler radar. During the evenings in the summer, you can often see them coming out of the cave. It looks like a circle on the radar. You can sometimes see them coming back into the cave in the mornings as well.
We have a bat-nado at night and raining bats in the morning.
All due to their feeding schedule. And this giant soccer ball-looking structure sees every bit of it.
The radar will rotate around and send out pulses in all directions.
Matt Brady is a meteorologist at the National Weather Service in New Braunfels, where this Doppler radar is located. Brady knows radars inside and out.
So this is an interesting case because we had thunderstorms and then the bats came out after the thunderstorms.
Those pulses Brady speaks of are radio waves sent out from the radar that bounce off objects in the atmosphere. Any objects, as is the case with bats and occasionally insects like butterflies. But most commonly, it's weather. Once the energy strikes an object, it scatters in all directions. Only a small portion of the energy is scattered back to the radar. But that's how we know it's there. The radar can also detect the movement of that object away or towards the radar. Measuring this works like sound waves and the Doppler effect, hence the name Doppler radar, which is what all modern weather radars are. It then takes that data, converts it, and maps it.
We look at it constantly every day.
It can be argued it's the single most important tool for a meteorologist, but that wasn't always the case. Radar has come a long way.
Radar really was developed to assist in maritime navigation.
In the early 1900s, ships needed radar to avoid collisions in the fog. Then, as World War II approached, it was the Army Signal Corps that developed radar as a means of defense.
In fact, the U.S. Army Signal Corps coined the acronym RADAR, Radio Detection and Ranging. In 1934, they conducted experiments on behalf of the United States Navy because the Navy was concerned, again, back about maritime navigation.
By wartime, these experimental radars could detect aircraft too, as was the case on December 7th, 1941.
They spotted a flight of planes 136 nautical miles north of Oahu. Of course, it's the Japanese invasion fleet for Pearl Harbor.
Many countries experimented with radar during this time, and it took off.
Radar was a boon for air traffic controllers. It also was later developed for radio astronomy. Traffic cops now use it later on to check with speeders.
But it was detecting weather where arguably it proved most useful. So after the war, some of the radars were donated to the Weather Bureau. Now there are 159 weather radars strategically placed throughout the U.S. and its territories, and they've been in use ever since. And they've improved.
About 10 to 15 years ago, there was new technology that the Doppler radar has adapted called dual polarization.
This means we went from only looking horizontally through the atmosphere to looking horizontally and vertically. This change has been a huge step forward in the world of meteorology.
It can tell us how strong a thunderstorm may be. It could also detect possible rotation.
And for Brady, this very technology helped in a severe weather outbreak this past March. While we were in the KSAT Storm Chaser, he was radar operator at the National Weather Service that day.
It was a significant tornado. It was an EF2.
Brady and the National Weather Service, who are responsible for issuing warnings, tagged their tornado warning with the wording "tornado on the ground," without any eyewitness confirmation, because they could see debris on the radar kicked up by the tornado itself. This helped get word out faster. For San Antonio, we utilized 2 radars, one near Brackettville and this one in New Braunfels. We wanted a closer look, so after a 90-foot climb up some pretty steep steps, we make it inside the radome, which protects the radar itself from the elements. It looks kind of like a soccer ball.
Right now we're inside the radome, and if the radar were in use, it would be spinning around. It's on the other side of this dish where waves emit and return near the speed of light.
During calm air, during calm weather, it's going much slower, but then during very violent weather, like tornadoes possibly, it's really spinning fast, and it's making cuts in the air very quickly, as fast as it physically can.
It's a big piece of machinery, and if a human were to stand in the way of the emitting waves, which is not advised, you'd feel your body starting to heat up like a microwave. The radar tilts so it's never aimed towards the ground or us, but instead through varying parts of thunderstorms.
And that could allow us to see higher up in thunderstorms and see if a hail core is developing above the ground.
In other words, we can see if a storm may produce large hail before that hail even makes it to the surface. We can even see the difference between sleet and snow. At the end of the day, it's all of these things that make radar invaluable. It helps you plan your day, it helps us forecast the weather, and if you ever want to know what the bats are up to, it helps with that too. For KSAT Explains, I'm Justin Horn.
And now you know how Doppler works. If you'd like to see more KSAT Explains episodes like this one, just take your phone out, scan that QR code on the screen. It'll take you right to our page where you can find all the episodes. They air new on Mondays at 6:30. Tomorrow's episode is focused on the Latino vote as we head into the early voting period.
Y'all, Justin and producer Val and the whole KSAT Explains crew did a fantastic job with that story. It's just so interesting, especially because you know weather affects everyone every day. And so that was just a really good job by all of them. All right, live look outside over the Alamo City here tonight. It's still just pretty muggy out there, and it was warmer than average from start to finish in San Antonio this Sunday. We officially got up to 87 degrees, 7 degrees above the average. We were 10 degrees above the average earlier this morning. Our morning low was 68. So that moisture and the humidity definitely in place. We've got that upper level moisture in place as well. So still a few light showers across the northwestern reaches of the area. I think that coverage increases a little bit more into the early morning hours of our Monday. Again, not a bad idea to at least keep the umbrella in the car for the morning drive. Not everybody is going to need to use it. Another chance arrives tomorrow night with our next cold front, and then it is windy early Tuesday as we see those humidity values drop. Another full look at that forecast is coming up in just a few.
All right, Mia, thank you. A camping trip put this group of Boy Scout skills to the test after they were stranded for a week. How they got stuck, and see the video of their eventful rescue.
And things continue to not look good for Russian troops more than 6 months after they invaded Ukraine, while Russian civilians are now being forced to evacuate. Ukrainian forces have liberated numerous villages in southern Ukraine, and they are edging closer to the strategically important city of Kherson. Today, Russian missiles attacked a residential area of Mykolaiv, about 22 miles northwest of Kherson. Now, a playground there was destroyed, a 5-story apartment building heavily damaged as Russian troops reportedly fall back. Russia is trying to divert resources from the south to the north in Belarus. Meanwhile, Ukraine's president says power has now been restored to all regions of the country after Russia fired 33 missiles targeting Ukraine's infrastructure.
A Boy Scout troop from El Paso is telling their story of how they were rescued by helicopter after being stranded in New Mexico forest. This happened back on October 1st when 16 Boy Scouts and 9 adults got stranded in the Gila National Forest. New Mexico police received a call from the group on October 8th, but the weather deteriorated quickly, preventing them from attempting a rescue. Now, rescue crews found themselves unable to land that helicopter, so they airlifted everyone out one by one.
What was scary during that moment was just processing it and realizing that, yeah, we're stranded, realizing the weather could prolong search and rescue.
They got to see firsthand what it is that we talk about when we're talking about wilderness survival.
The entire rescue operation took nearly 17 hours. Everyone eventually reunited with their families in a nearby visitor center. Yesterday, they were able to return to the area to retrieve all of the gear they had left behind.
The family of a 10-year-old girl says she was almost the victim of an abduction attempt in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but it didn't happen just once. It happened twice, with the second one caught on camera. Take a look. Police say the girl told them it all started when a man in a black van approached her while she was on her way to school, offering her candy. She managed to get away. Then the next morning, police say that same man allegedly sees her walking to school. He approaches her again, this time on foot. Surveillance video from a nearby school showing that girl sprinting down the street, pausing for a brief moment, then running away. Police now scouring the neighborhood, releasing a flyer, all in an effort to find that man.
Scary story there. Well, if you're scared of heights, you might want to look away, or you can see and walk across this amazing scenery that's one of a kind.
All right, if you like heights and adventure, this might be just for you. If not, look away. The world's longest timber-towered suspension bridge is now open to the public in Boyne Falls, Michigan. At roughly 1,200 feet long, Sky Bridge, Michigan at Boyne Mountain provides more than 1,000 feet of suspended walking surface. The walkable portion of the pedestrian-only bridge is about 5 feet wide. The bridge officially opened earlier this month. Our producer Alexis will not be going.
What about you, Tim? Yay or nay?
I would, absolutely.
Yeah,
and with
look
those
gorgeous.
fall colors, I saw a brief glimpse of the peak of the fall colors when I was up that way last week. Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. Maybe we'll get some more fall weather here, Mia?
Well, by the middle of the week, at least it's going to start to feel a little bit cooler than what we've seen this weekend. The mugginess was back. It was pretty breezy out there as well. But as we see this next front move in tomorrow night, it also is going to bring with it a chance for some scattered rain and storms. Now, it's not going to be for everybody, but it is something to keep eyes on here over the next 24 to 36 hours. As we zoom this out and take a look at the bigger picture, a couple of different features that we're monitoring that make this setup a little complex. There's the remnants of Rosalind still moving farther up to the north as well as the east, and then a couple of different areas of low pressure that are going to influence our weather here at home as we head into our Monday and Monday night as well. So again, we have that upper level moisture pumping in from the southwest from the remnants of Rosalind, and that will continue to be the case here as we head into the overnight hours. There's a big area of low pressure across the Rockies, sparking widespread rain and even some snow across the higher elevations that way. And then a smaller area of low pressure sparking some rain across portions of the desert southwest. That is headed farther up to the northeast here through the overnight hours and into our Monday. And as it does so, it's actually going to phase in with that other low pressure system and allow this upper level trough to deepen just a little bit more. And whenever that does link up with the moisture in place, as well as our next cold front, that is what's going to spark tomorrow night's chance for some scattered rain and thunderstorms here in south central Texas. So let's get you another look again at our future cast, what the radar could look like here over the next 24 to 36 hours. Again, through the overnight, it is possible that we see slightly more scattered showers as that continues to move in from the southwest here. Not going to be for everybody, but if you are stepping out for the morning drive tomorrow, not a bad idea to at least take the rain jacket with you. And then as we head into the afternoon hours, that morning cloud cover that we do find, that looks to break up just a little bit more. I think it's possible that we find some peaks of sunshine out there as well. More storms tomorrow afternoon across portions of the Brazos Valley along and east of I-35. More isolated for us here at home throughout the second half of our Monday, but then eyes turn up to the north and the west by Monday evening and Monday night as we see that next front then move into south central Texas in between about 9 to 11 p.m. That's going to be the window where we monitor for a broken line of rain and thunderstorms to develop. That continues to push through our southeastern counties through the early morning hours of our Tuesday, and then by the time the sun comes up Tuesday morning, that activity is farther down to the south as well as the east, and we see more sunshine work in as that drier air filters in as well. So with that front and its associated scattered rain and thunderstorms tomorrow night, we will need to monitor for an isolated strong to briefly severe thunderstorm. The primary concern there would be some instances of strong gusty winds. Rain totals for those that do pick up on the rain. Again, not for everybody. We could find some totals in the range of 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch, localized higher, especially the farther east you go, where we have the potential to pick up on some heavier downpours and thunderstorms. And then Tuesday morning, the biggest thing is going to be those gusty winds, 40 to 45 miles per hour. So definitely keep the loose lawn items and the Halloween decorations secured. And that wind is what's going to pump in that drier air. So the humidity takes a big dip by Tuesday and into Wednesday, which is what helps those temperatures cool down just a little bit more. But it also gives us the sunshine. So good news there as well. All right, wake up time tomorrow morning, upper 60s, low 70s. Those highs transition to the 80s. Temperatures in the 70s. So those take a little bit of a hit after that first front works its way in. Some chilly mornings there as well in the 50s. Then we've got a second potential front early Friday that looks to keep some of that fall weather around into the weekend and also kicks up another isolated chance for some rain.
Watch out for tumbling tombstones in your neighborhood.
There you go. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson set a new movie milestone. How Black Adam fared at the box office. Coming up.
Lyle Crocodile crawled back 2 spots this week to 5th place on ticket sales of $4.2 million. Halloween Ends dropped from 1st place down to 4th with $8 million, as Smile went from 2nd to 3rd with $8.4 million.
Mom, Dad, this is good day.
George Clooney and Julia Roberts' latest rom-com, Ticket to Paradise, brought in $16.3 million, good enough for a ticket to a 2nd place debut.
I kneel before no one.
And the new undisputed heavyweight champion of the box office is Black Adam. Dwayne Johnson's overpowered anti-hero fought off all contenders to dominate 1st place with a $67 million opening, marking Johnson's biggest debut as leading man. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
The Spurs have shocked a lot of folks by winning 2 in a row on the road and now have a chance to make it 3 in a row tomorrow.
Yeah, and after having the week off for having the best record in the United Soccer League during the regular season, who does San Antonio FC face in the playoffs? With all of that and what's happening on Instant Replay, let's head on over to Greg Simmons.
In just a matter of minutes, we're going to find out who their opponent is, so we'll let you know. And can the Houston Astros sweep the New York Yankees in New York to head to the World Series? Coming up tonight on a brand new edition of Instant Replay.
It gives a lot of confidence for us. We're a young group, so at the end of the day, that's just going to help us out. And we'll celebrate this win right now, but at the end of the day, we got 79 more games. You know what I'm saying? So we're looking forward to going to Minnesota and doing the same thing.
All this talk about tanking, someone forgot to tell the Spurs if they're getting blown out by Charlotte on opening night. The Silver and Black have now won back-to-back games on the road and have a chance to make it 3 in a row tomorrow night in Minnesota. And San Antonio FC prepares to open the playoffs this week after finishing with the best record in the United Soccer League during the regular season. We'll get you ready for the postseason.
To go, first down. Metzger fires to the end zone. Vasquez brings that one in for 6.
And with just 2 weeks left of the regular season and district titles and playoff opportunities still on the line, there is no way we can kick off Week 10 of the high school football season without the best of big game coverage and all new 12's Top 12. And can the Houston Astros return to the World Series by sweeping the Yankees in the American League Championship Series? All that plus Dak's comeback with the help of the Dallas D. And UTSA is not the only local university to produce a victory over the weekend. So did UIW and Trinity. Instant Replay is live, and it's next. We're going to squeeze it all in 28 minutes and 30 seconds.
There's a lot there. We'll wrap up so you have some time. Thanks, Greg.
We'll be right back.
That's all of our time. Thanks so much for watching.
An all-new Instant Replay starts right now.
everyone, and welcome to a brand new edition of Instant Replay. It's been the day we've been waiting for since the season opener, the return of Dak Prescott as a Cowboys starting quarterback. That's after they were able to go 4-1 without him. That included a 4-game win streak with Cooper Rush and his stand-in before falling in Philly last Sunday night. Now, how would Prescott perform in his return on game day?
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
If there is a team that you could use to ease yourself back into game shape, then the 1-4 Detroit Lions might be just what the doctor ordered. But by halftime, the game was practically even in the box score. Neither team finding the end zone, and the Lions led 6-3 at the break. Third quarter, So here are your local connections to the NFL. Josh Reynolds out of John Jay and the Lions, 1 catch, 8 yards, 1 solo tackle. The Raiders, Trayvon Mayrig out of Smithson Valley, 4 tackles, 2 solo, 1 pass defense. And the Seahawks, Tariq Woolen out of UTSA, 2 tackles, 1 solo, 1 pass defense. Time now for tonight's Instant Replay poll question. With 4 games left in the regular season, can the UTSA Roadrunners win out? Yes or no question here. Vote now. We'll have the results at the end of the broadcast tonight. There's much more to come after the break. It's Game 4 between the Astros and the Yankees, but first.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity. Again, it's something the players have earned. We're in a privileged situation that we get to play in front of the best fans in the league, our fans.
San Antonio FC took advantage of their playoff bye week, and they now know who they will face this coming week in just a matter of minutes. The team tells us what they worked on to prepare for Friday's matchup. The Spurs have shocked a ton of fans by winning back-to-back games on the road. There's still work to do away from the AT&T Center starting tomorrow. The UTSA Roadrunners come up with the best finish in all of college football this weekend to pull off a last-second victory against North Texas. It's just part of the College Corner, and there will be so many incredible plays this week in high school football. It's the must-watch best of big game coverage in 12's Top 12 when Instant Replay continues live next.